Hey guys, so I'm just on the way to the poker club in Kanawaki. So this week, the past 4 days, I made around 500 American online, and I made around 300 Canadian Ubering. So anyways, whatever, good week. Things are going well. So I thought for this episode, I wanted to talk a bunch about cars. So I guess a quick history with me first for my car is I went to university, I went to boarding school when I was 19, and then I was in university in Halifax from 20 till 25. So when I moved back to Montreal, I was living downtown Montreal. So in all those situations, I didn't have a car. I didn't need a car, right? I mean, university, it's a small town. I was pretty much living on campus or an apartment nearby the campus, so I could just walk over. And then when I was living downtown Montreal, I was just using the metro, and it was pretty easy. It didn't really make sense for me at the time to have a car. But I didn't get my driver's license till I was like 25. But anyways, what happened was at 28, I got my first car. So when I was 28, I was living with my girlfriend, who's not my wife. But anyways, I was living with my girlfriend, and I guess whatever. We decided I was gonna get a car. We decided we needed a car, so we looked into it. We ended up leasing, a brand new Hyundai Elantra. So it's 2017 Hyundai Elantra. I mean, I wasn't really sure what to get, but I was talking to my parents have a car guy or a car expert or whatever. So I was talking to him, and he was saying, you've never had a car before. It's your first car. I would suggest leasing a new car. It won't give you any headaches. It's simple, reliable. Nothing too fancy. You don't have to worry. So whatever, he recommended at least a Hyundai Elantra, and that's what I did. It seemed pretty good. So it was a 4-year lease. I wasn't paying too much for it. But after 2 years of having it, things were going well. I was making a lot of money, and at that point, I just decided, well, I don't want to drive this crap car around. I should get something cool. I have a lot of money. I can get pretty much whatever car I want. So I was young. I mean, it was just me and my girlfriend. I was looking for a car, small. I wanted whatever. I was thinking maybe a 2-door car or something small, and fun. So essentially I narrowed it. I was looking at a bunch of cars, but I narrowed it down to 3 cars. So one of the cars I test drove was a BMW 230i, which is a small 2-door BMW. It was a lot of fun. But then it pretty much came down to 2 cars, and I was either going to go with a Dodge Challenger or a Cadillac ATS. And I kept noticing Cadillac ATSs when I walked around. I kind of kept thinking, I really want that car. Thought it was a really cool car. So anyways, I test drove them both. It was pretty close, but I ended up going with the Cadillac. I liked that it was a smaller car, and I also liked that it was just fancier on the inside. But yeah, there was a while though, I was kind of, even after getting the Cadillac, there was always part of me that kind of wish I got that Dodge Challenger. But I don't know, I kind of felt with the Dodge Challenger is for either car I was going to get, I was either going to get the ATS or the Challenger. The Challenger I would have got the pretty basic version. And I feel like Challengers are a lot sweeter when they're a little more upgraded and they're more expensive. So I didn't really want to get a car that was that expensive. So anyways, I went the Cadillac ATS. Now, once I got the Cadillac, I just, driving around, I started noticing lots of other Cadillacs. And then I just got really into Cadillacs, and I kind of got an obsession, kind of grew. But I guess it's not that uncommon, because it seems like a lot of people are really into Cadillacs, and I mean, they're a pretty awesome car, and they have a big history behind them. So anyway, I was driving that ATS, I was loving it, and then I always thought, as time went on, we started to have kids, and my wife got an SUV. And then for my Cadillac, I mean, it was just too small to have me, my wife, and the 2 kids in the back, right? And we have a dog too. So whatever, I did love it, but I mean, I had it for 5 years. So I got it when I was 30, and then by the time I was 35, I was really trying to find something else. And I was looking at full-size sedans, and then I found I was looking at a Cadillac DTS, but it was too old. Whatever. Eventually, I wanted a full-size sedan. And eventually I narrowed it down to a Cadillac XTS, a Cadillac CT6, Lincoln Continental, Chrysler 300. I went with the Lincoln Continental. But whatever, I still do have a big obsession with Cadillacs. And, I'm often online looking at Cadillacs. I look for old Cadillacs. I'm just curious what's available on Auto Trader. So anyways, there was this time I was, I was playing online, not much action, so I decided to make a list. I know I always see those things on YouTube where guys make those tier lists, right? They have the S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, whatever. So the S tier is like the special tier. So anyways, I made my list for Cadillacs, and I have an S tier, an A plus tier, an A tier, and the A minus tier. So here's my tier list for Cadillacs. So also for me, I mean, the Cadillacs that I like are pretty much for the most part, are like 1990s and after. I mean, yeah, I think there's some cool Cadillacs in the 70s and 80s, and then obviously like Cadillacs, you know, from the 40s, 50s, and 60s were really cool, but I'm just like not really that into them. So also, I mean, let's say I could have a dream garage. I always thought maybe like the perfect situation for me would be if, you know, some big shot millionaire, maybe living in like Florida where the weather's nice and the roads are nice for cars, and I would, you know, I'd have maybe 9 Cadillacs, a big garage with like 9 Cadillacs, and a Dodge Demon or a Dodge Hellcat, one of those cars, right? So 10 cars, have 1 Dodge racing car like a Dodge Hellcat, and 9 Cadillacs. But anyway, so here is my tier list for Cadillacs. So starting with the A minus tier, we got the ATS, which is the car I had. I loved it. It's awesome. It's small. It's fast. It's perfect if you're just by yourself or it's just you and your girlfriend. You know, me and my wife, we did a lot of like road trips, just her and I in the car, and it was pretty awesome. Great memories. Drove really well, handles really well. It's very light. A few things too, because that car was essentially made to compete with the BMW 3 Series, which, you know, is the most popular car of those small compact sports sedans. But I thought the ATS was better than the 3 Series. I mean, a few things. So first of all, you know, a small compact sedan like that, you want it to be light so you can drive it fast and handle well. So it was lighter. It was about 300 pounds lighter than the BMW, right? So it's 3,000 pounds. BMW was like 3,300 pounds. It was also lower to the ground, which is awesome because it means it's going to handle better. The only thing is the 0 to 60 wasn't as fast, but it wasn't much. From what I read, the BMW did like a 0 to 60 in 5.9 or 5.8, and the Cadillac ATS was about 6.0. So they were about the same thing. But yeah, overall, I thought the Cadillac I prefer it. It's cheaper. I think it looks nicer. I mean, I think the BMW is definitely like overrated. I don't know. I really loved that Cadillac. It was really comfy. It was really nice on the inside. Everything handled really well. Also, the one thing I noticed with the Cadillac over any other car I've been in is the infotainment system. Like handled, it was like really easy, simple. You never felt like you had to read the manual or anything. It was all just like very simple, straightforward, easy, nothing dumb. I really found it had the best infotainment system. Anyway, so next on my A minus tier is I put both the Cadillac Seville and the Cadillac STS. So the Seville, you know, I like the one from like early 2000, and then the STS from, you know, what it's like 2008, around there. So yeah, those cars are both awesome. I think the STS looks really cool. Definitely cool vibes, and yeah, it's kind of small. Also looks like a car that'd be pretty perfect if it was just like you and your girlfriend, and maybe, I guess if you had some little kids, again, it might be hard to put 4 adults in that car. But anyways, STS and Seville, I'd also put the A minus tier. So the next is the A tier. So for the A tier, for these Cadillacs, I put the CT6 and the Escalade and the Eldorado from like 1980 to 2000. So the CT6 is pretty awesome. I think it started in 2016 and got discontinued in 2019, but they still make them in China. But anyways, in North America, they've been discontinued after 2019. And yeah, it's a really nice car. I mean, pretty much the rival to this Lincoln Continental. More sporty. One of the things I don't like about the CT6 is it had a lot of like screens inside. I don't really want a car that has like so many screens. It's funny too, I remember when I was a kid, there was that show Pimp My Ride with Exhibit, where, you know, the person would have some old beat up car, and then the Pimp My Ride people would show up, they would take the car, and they would take it to like West Coast Customs and get it all like souped up and do the big makeover, and then when they would give him the car back, it just looked like ridiculous, and whatever. The inside was all nice, but then there'd always be like, you know, the outside would have like flames or something on it, and the like on the funny paint job, but the inside would always have like a ton of screens, right? That have all these screens, and people made fun of how it looked so dumb with so many screens. Whereas nowadays, having so many screens is like common in cars, and I just think it looks kind of dumb to me. And to see, I don't know, Cadillac CT6 with like all the screens inside with the screens in the back and the screens in the front, I was just like, oh, this looks like one of those dumb cars from Pimp My Ride that, you know, people used to make fun of. Like, I don't want a car with so many screens. But it still is a really sweet car. But yeah, so I ended up going with the Lincoln Continental over the CT6. But well, it was also because both of them, they're discontinued. They're really hard to find. And so for 6 months I was looking, I found some few XTSs, but I didn't like them. And then Lincoln Continental came available, and the only CT6s I found were very far away, either like Ontario or further. So yeah, they're all pretty much 500 kilometers away or more, so I never really got a chance. But actually, after I bought my Continental, I think 2 months later, a CT6 became available, near my house at the Cadillac dealership, and I never checked it out. But yeah, I guess if the CT6 became available first, maybe I would have got that instead of the Continental. But the CT6 that was available, I think, was a 2019 or 2018, and this Continental's a 2020. So whatever, at least it's newer. So yeah, also on that list is the Escalade, which is awesome. I mean, everyone loves Escalades. They look sick. Definitely should be an A-tier car. And I guess I would have to say my favorite Escalade would probably be the 2012 in terms of the look and everything. I think that's the coolest one. But yeah, they're all nice. I mean, there's like no Escalade that looks bad, right? Any Escalade from, I guess it started, I'm trying to think when it started. Maybe it started 2002, so any Escalade from 2002 to 2024 is very awesome. Also on that list are the Eldorados. The 1980s Eldorados are pretty sweet. And then the Eldorados also in the beginning of the year, the early 2000s, I think are awesome too. Yeah, the ones in 2000 look kind of cool. That looks like also like to me that kind of looks like what the ATS is now or something, right? Like, or what the ATS was in 2018 was like the Eldorado in like 2000. They kind of have a similar vibe to it. Small, fast, fun. Looks pretty awesome. So next, and then yeah, the Eldorado in the 80s is nice too. Whatever. Anyways, next is my A+ tier. So for the A+ tier, I have Cadillac DeVille, Cadillac DTS, which whatever is just I guess called DTS means DeVille Touring Sedan. So, but I'm talking about the DTS from like 2006, and the Brougham, or Cadillac Brougham, and then the fancy one is like Brougham d'Elegance. So yeah, the 1980s Brougham d'Elegance are up to 1990. I think it's really awesome. Definitely has that car where it gets like the real like mobster vibes or whatever with the big trunk and just everything. And that car is awesome. I'd love to get that car at some point. I know they're pretty popular too. You see them online for sale a lot. And yeah, you can definitely get them in like Florida and stuff. So that's a car I could, if it's available, I could definitely see myself getting Brougham d'Elegance and have it like be my summer car or something. So maybe get like, one from 1990 or 91. And then for the DeVilles, I mean, all the DeVilles are awesome. My favorite DeVilles are the ones from 2000 actually. So, any DeVille from 2000 to 2005 I think is really sick. And then the DTSs, from 2006 to 2011 are awesome. I often think, I kind of feel like a 2011 Cadillac DTS, like Platinum, would just be like the perfect car. I feel like that car, it's not too old, not too new, it's got everything perfect. That, to me, that would kind of be the perfect. If I ever found like, I don't know, I always kind of thought, okay, I got a 2011 Cadillac DTS with low mileage on it. I feel like that could just be like you take good care of it. I feel like that could just be the perfect car. I think I messed up this turn a little bit. All right, I'm gonna have to, gonna try and skip the line here. Hopefully I don't get honked at, but I do get honked at a lot in this car. But well, in general, I drive a little erratic sometimes because I don't always follow the rules. But when I do get honked at in this car, it's not so bad because it's got such good like noise insulation. You like barely hear the honks, so that's kind of nice. Let's see if we get honked at or not. Anyway, so back to the DTS. Yeah, 2011 DTS. Maybe, I mean, I don't want to say that's like my dream car, but I do kind of feel like that's just like the perfect car in terms of like how old it is. So like you can handle winter, right? Figure it should be able to still last you a bunch of years. So yeah, if you could find a good, 2011 DTS, take good care of it, I think that'd be pretty sweet with low mileage. All right, so finally you got the S tier. So for the S tier, the special cars, I put 2 Cadillacs on it. So I would say the Cadillac Eldorado from like the 1970s, I think is super awesome. There's that channel online, if you're into cars, I'm sure you've seen it with that Doug DeMuro guy. It's pretty obnoxious, but he does a good job of like showing cool cars. He was one where he's showing off a Cadillac Eldorado, I think from like maybe 1975 or something, and yeah, to me that's a perfect example of an S tier car. I would definitely love to have that car. If that was my summer car, that would just be a dream. I just think it's so cool. Can't really think of a better car than that. for like a cool summer car, two-door car. I don't know. That's just so awesome. The Eldorado. I mean, if you're in a car, go look up. You know that Doug DeMuro video with the I think it was a 1975 Eldorado. I think it's like white on the outside, red interior. It just looks so sweet. So yeah, I'd recommend watching that video. And then, so my S tier. Well, that's the S tier, but the car I want the most, my ultimate dream car, is the Cadillac Fleetwood. So Cadillac Fleetwoods are all awesome. The most famous one is the one from 1976, which is the longest production car ever made. I think it was 250 inches long. So yes, that Cadillac Fleetwood is really awesome. For me, the one I would want is the last Fleetwood, which is the 1996 Fleetwood. So that would be the ultimate dream car. I mean, it's pretty old, 1996. So if I ever did get it, it would be only a summer car. I imagine they're very hard to find. I don't know how I would find one in Canada. So I mean, I figure at some point I have to get that car. So maybe when I'm like 50 or 60, but I know they're pretty collectible. So like, I'm assuming you'll be able to find, I don't know, I'm assuming I'll be able to find one even 20 years from now or something. When I'm just like ready to, I don't know, throw a bunch of money away on a nice Cadillac Fleetwood. And they're not even that expensive. I mean, a 1996 Cadillac Fleetwood, if you find it in good condition and everything, you probably get it for $15,000 or something, maybe $20,000 at the most. But yeah, they're not even that expensive, and they're just so awesome. Huge car. It's like the last like land yacht, drives like a boat, right? I mean, pretty much after the Fleetwood, they never really made Cadillacs that big after that. They did the DeVille, they were still making DeVilles in the 90s, and the DeVille kind of replaced the Fleetwood, but not really. The DeVille just became their big sedan because they took away they took away their bigger sedan, which was the Fleetwood. So yeah, I mean, whatever.